This short video will demonstrate how to populate the required fields to successfully undertake a takeoff for a Loft conversion in the Aviator Lite estimating software. For demonstration purposes, the Loft conversion will be like this, and all of the critical measurements have been recorded for inputting the required values in certain sections. Firstly, fill out all relevant details on the details form, as it is these fields that populate the many reports that are produced at the end of the estimate. Special attention should be made to the start date, as this is required to compute the work schedule. And also, the job type should be selected from the drop-down, as this dictates the payment schedule that will be generated. A branch must also be selected to apply material costs for a more accurate materials total. Then, Start Estimate requires clicking to generate a new quote. Aviator Lite allows individual elements of any build process to be estimated as a standalone cost, but will produce reports that will merge all the different build processes together into one report if multiple jobs require pricing. A basic degree of building processes and procedures need to be understood to fully utilize the software, but once understood, the effectiveness of the program will become evident. Modules will need to be selected, and this will provide a cost for materials, plant, labor, and timeline for any particular job once the measures and quantities have been submitted. The order in which the user selects the modules is not imperative, but may help the user in working their way through the estimate if they can actually imagine undertaking the processes when doing the job. If the user regularly specializes in specific job types, then there are work sections that are pre-populated that group all the likely elements together. Also, using the multiple module method, the user can add or subtract modules to tender to their job types. For demonstration purposes and to show how the module library is navigated, this estimate will be produced by selecting the individual modules and not the preset job types as just outlined. Again, for demonstration purposes, we are going to try and work through the plans in an attempt to best demonstrate how it all links together. Before we start the actual estimate, it is important to note, by selecting from the option at the top, your own trade-specific labor rates and profit markups can be adjusted to provide a more personalized and accurate estimate cost. Okay, let's begin the estimate. As you can see from the plans, there is a ridge beam required to the new loft area. The type is known, but will still need to be measured. Please select beams from the module library. Select the beam size and type required, add the linear meterage, and the number of padstones if required. It is good practice to add descriptions in the module title, as it will remind the user on what jobs have been done if multiple similar modules are opened, and the final reports are more transparent for pricing purposes, of which you will see when the estimate is complete. Every job has a trade allocated to it, but this can be altered if required. If you think the job requires 2 people, then there are pre-populated gangs drop-downs that can be accessed. If in any work process you need to add something that is not in the module, extra lines can be added, like so, to achieve an accurate cost for that scope of works. In this example, a crane will be required for half a day. The program has now provided a costing for supply and setting into place the new steel ridge beam. New floor joists are required to the existing to carry the new loft floor, and the sectional drawing shows what is required. The floor plans enable a measure to be calculated. A further sectional drawing shows the markup of this new floor, and written construction spec backs up what the sections are showing. Back to the pricing sheet. A new module needs adding. A module needs to be selected and a detailed description added. The measures and the materials required for the joists, insulations, and any plant or materials not needed can then be deselected. Because there are 2 differing lengths of joists, the module library needs to open and populate as above. Hence the benefit of describing the works in clearer detail in the module title box. The existing roof to the front elevation requires stripping of its covering with new rafters and upgraded insulation. For the new rafters, the roof structure module needs to be selected and the type of roof and the dimensions added. This has allowed for the rafters. Extra ones can be added for doubling up V-lux if required. The insulation has been added to the same area of the roof area and leaves the correct product to be selected. In this section, additional roof items can be added if required, for example, V-lux windows, flashing kits, soffit, fascia, and barge boards. As this room is now part of a room in the roof, this ceiling area of roof will require plastering and skimming. This new roof requires new guttering and downpipes as stated in the spec, so the guttering module can be selected and measures added in to cover this element. Thinking about the work process, the user will probably require a safe working platform for the roof works, and a cost for this can also be added utilizing the scaffolding module. The new roof structure also requires recovering and retiling after the existing tiles have been stripped. Therefore, the roof tiling module needs to be selected and measures added and tile type selected, so all these material and labour costs can be added to the estimate. Again, anything not required can be deselected. As you can see, the program even allows a costing for stripping the existing roof area. A major part of this job is the new dormer walls. This can be priced by selecting the timber frame module initially and entering the measurements. Again, job-specific materials can be selected or removed if not required. To add the windows, simply select the window module and size of the windows. If purpose-made windows are selected, then an approximate cost needs to be added based on what make the windows are. Anything not required in labour of materials can be deselected. Externally, the dormer walls require vertical tile hangings, so this module needs to be selected, the length entered, and the metre squared of openings populated to gauge a more accurate quantity of materials. Then the relevant materials can be selected or deselected. There are 3 different types of internal walls of varying construction that need to be costed individually by selecting slightly different modules. Wall type B is as shown. This is plasterboarded on both sides with acoustic insulation. To enter this work, select the following work module and enter the measurements. Please note the number of plasterboards will reduce when the door casings are added, as you do not need them where an opening is located. Obviously, these door casings will require door hangings, so these can be added with an allowance cost attributed to them. Again, these new openings will require architrave, so this module could be selected next and the type of architrave chosen. The other type of internal stud wall is shown in this section and will only require plasterboard to one side, as it will be upgrading existing party walls. These are shown in green. The module of timber stud with plasterboard to one side is the one to select in this case, and add the measurements. As this area needs double boarding, the number of plasterboards should be doubled. The last timber wall is the dwarf wall shown in purple. This module needs to be selected and measured. The dormer walls have not yet received their plasterboard and skim, so this also needs adding from the plastering module. All the new walls will require skirting board, so simply select the skirting module, add the length, and then select the type. As there is a new floor, a staircase will also be needed. A flat roof structure requires pricing as section which can be added by selecting the flat roof module with covering. Entering the length and width will add the rafter lengths and the associated materials including insulation, soffit and fascia. Again, material type needs to be chosen for the specific job. This flat roof will require boarding and skimming internally, so the metre squared quantity needs adding from this module. Finally, the painting module will allow all works to be painted when the decorating module is opened and figures inputted. The figures can be worked out from earlier modules for ease of use if required. Electrics can be added, and if the first fix elements are populated when the second fix electrics are selected, it will self-populate from the figures added in first fix. Allowances for plumbing materials can also be added if required. The report can be run easily and quickly, and as mentioned earlier, the markups can be adjusted after the estimate is complete if needed. There are a variety of different reports produced. As you can see, all the modules are listed as described in the estimate for clarity in the final reports.